right, it's another beautiful weekend of amazing Amazon on Captain TV coming from the city of Lagos. Yes, hope you enjoyed the last episode of the show. It's another beautiful weekend. You know what we do on the show? We discuss issues, we discuss problems faced by women and girls. Also, we have a chit chat with dignitaries, people, women who are successful in their niche. All right, welcome on board. I am Tosin Adeyemi. Yes, today promises to be amazing as we have a veteran journalist, a columnist of a Nigerian newspaper, also a relationship counselor, to share with us some relationship tips, to some singles that feel like, oh, marriage is not my thing. I don't think I am ready to face this marriage institution just because of the news going around, relationship breakups, marriage separations, so many unpleasant news we are hearing about some marriages right now. So, but don't worry, just relax. We'll have a chit chat with Bunmi Sofola to have a lengthy conversation on how we can overcome this challenge, because I know it's a challenge. So join me. All right, welcome to the interview segment. It's still amazing Amazon, where we get to interview special people, Amazons. So today is a special person, and I'm so sure that when I mention her name, she's not strange to a lot of people, especially those in the media field, in person of Mrs. Bunmi Sofola. She's a veteran journalist and a relationship counselor. So if you used to hear dear Bunmi, here is our mama. Good day, ma.
Well, nice to be here with you and all that.
Yes, it's a great privilege to be here with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I have a lot of questions to ask about you, but I need to start from somewhere. Okay, let's start from the scratch. Like, I know that some people are said to be born with a silver spoon. Is your own case like that?
I was, because my dad, well, silver, I don't know about silver spoon, but into a privileged family.
Okay.
Because my dad was a top civil servant, and my mom, well, she had her own vocation, and we were raised well. We had enough, and then went to the best schools that you can afford at that time. Most schools then were more or less free. And then you go to secondary school, and from there you start planning what to do. And in those days, whatever you wanted, the sky would be the limit. Because when I finished higher school, for instance, I was still, because there's this 8-month gap before you go into the university, and it was during this gap that Punch started. It was Punch Publications. That was in the very, very early 70s. They started at Herbert Macaulay, and they were looking for a futures writer. And I'd always enjoyed writing and all that. And I said, well, and whatever job you wanted, then you could get off the pages of the newspaper. You didn't have to know anybody. So I applied for I was teaching then. Then I just said, let me apply for that. And I applied, and that was it. And then it was Uncle Samu Uncle Sam Amuka, who interviewed me. The rest is history. I was employed as a futures writer. Later, I became editor. And during all this time, of course, I was going for trainings and all that. I got promoted to the post of. I was one of the first 3 editors. Woman editor, Happy Home. Then there was the Jibade Thomas, editor of Punch, and Dio Wright was editor of Sporting Punch. So 3 pioneer editors, and then we moved from Happy Home, which was the parent company of the other public. Then we started with Sunday Punch, and then after all that, journalism was a very, very adventurous thing, especially for a young girl. You got invited to all those embassies, all those.
That was then.
Then, not now. There were, how many newspapers houses did you have then? Daily Times, There was the sketch, which was Ibadan based. Then there was then Punch, I think, except for this drum and the daily. So anything that was big, with just a few of us, and then of course they were all happy to see us, and it was fun. And then I said, after hitting the post of an editor, where else would I want to go? I was thinking about that when another advert popped up in the dailies that Great Nigeria Insurance was looking for a public relations manager. So I applied with the hope of using that as a negotiating thing with a Punch. Unfortunately, like you said, my reputation preceded me. So out of all the application forms, once they saw Bunmi Sofola, they said I was the one they wanted for the job. So I had to go. There was a time I thought about not going. Then one of us said that you have already resigned. Once you say goodbye, don't go back. And it was a good thing I took his advice. Anyway, I went, and then from that I went to the College of Insurance in Seven Oaks, so that you have to know who you are working with and with the profession you are working with. It was good because with insurance, apart from your salary, any business you brought in, then you'll get commission. So I was earning my salary, I was earning the commission, and then of course Radio Nigeria wanted another anchor for woman to woman, this the Wednesday belt. And then I was approached, and I said, well, so someone said, where would you get the time to? But since they were all wrapped around the same profession, of course, it was a breeze, and that was it. And I did that for a long time. Then I was doing so well with the insurance thing. I started a brokerage firm. Now, it was then that I knew that once the table turned and you are the one looking for a favor, so that was it. But it was fun. And then, of course, I continued writing, and I still write. The album started with Happy Home. When I was with editor of Happy Home, that was when I started the album, and that was in the 70s, and it's still on now.
Yeah, before.
That's why I said Jimmy Dizzy, the rascal, he kept on saying, the woman is in her 70s, no. But, and it's surprisingly, when I wanted to write, when I was 50, I launched one of my books, collective write-ups of, yours sincerely, collective writings of Bunmi Sofola. And that is sold out. So the second one now, Vanguard, because I went back to Vanguard as a columnist, I still write for Vanguard, 3 to 4 columns every week. So I went back to Vanguard.
Do you still do that?
I still do. Up to now, I write on Sundays, and Wednesdays you get the Dear Bunmi.
Yes.
Then on Saturdays you have Weekend Blues.
Okay. And
then the other one, I use another name. Anyway, so I continue with that. It's been a pleasure ride. And
yeah. I'm still going to ask you about the Dear Bunmi, but I want to ask, in the course of the journey of your career, moving from one firm to another, have you ever faced rejection at any point in time?
Rejection?
Rejection, yes.
Rejection professionally?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't know. Because
like probably you desire an opportunity maybe to be in a particular firm or a place, or to write a particular article or whatsoever, you have been rejected, like, oh no, you can't do this, and you feel bad about it.
Well, in fairness to Uncle Sam, because he's been a mentor to a lot of us, about 4 or 5 of us that were still. Once he realized that you are your own person, you could be trusted. Whatever you did, there was a time I made a terrible, because then he wouldn't even bother, because then there was a time something was modeled up in one of the papers, and then he came and said, did you read what you wrote last week? I said, what did I read? He said, people read these things, but that means that he didn't, he wasn't aware, I wasn't aware, he wasn't, until someone pointed it out. But apart from that, it was, like I said, it was a breeze. Even with radio, I was with Trust, Drum and Trust.
Yeah.
Trust, I was a columnist for Trust too for years. Whatever I brought, they would take. They don't. Nobody even bothered to edit anything. So that rejection thing, forget it. Yeah.
So now talking about the Dear Bunmi, because I'll say that I do listen to the program very well on radio by Mr. Jimmy Disu. Dear Bunmi, they talk about Dear Bunmi, they talk about Amala. I was like, what's the connection? They eat Amala every last Wednesday.
Of the month.
Yes, I was like, what's the
well,
connection? Amala, Dear Bunmi.
The Amala thing too is another story.
Okay.
Because Uncle Sam wanted all the journalists, either active or non-active, to have a forum to meet maybe once a month, and they'll just say hello and share fellowship. And we started that at the canal in Vanguard. But unfortunately, all those nasty constructions, we couldn't get to Vanguard anymore. And then Muiwa Adetiba, myself, and Kenny Adamson, Yomi Onoshineli, God rest his soul, is gone now. We just said we should just come here because I had this woman who made good amala then. So
Okay.
we just meet. It was sporadically, and then gradually the others had got to hear about that, the canal people, and then we all joined, and then we made Uncle Sam the grand patron.
Okay.
General Alabi Sama is the chairman, and it kept on growing bigger and bigger, but not as big as not to be able to enjoy the gathering, not to be able to discuss, not to be able to, church and all. So every last Wednesday of the month, we look forward to that. Okay. And it's been going on for years now.
Who are those in the Amala group?
Not too many. There's
as in the professionals in the group.
Bunmi Sofola, that's me. Muiwa Adetiba, Kenny Adamson, Jimmy Disu, Eric Teniola.
All journalists.
All journalists. No, but then some of us are non-journalists.
Okay.
We about 2 or 3 or 4.
Okay.
But most, like Agnes Semobo and Falake Marcos Bello, they were with the Vanguard before.
Okay.
So they joined most of, let's say maybe 80% journalists. But at least we have things in that in common, and then, like you say, we are not strange bedfellows. We grew up with and then once in a while Uncle Sam will have the time and join us, and he was with us last Amala that we did.
Okay, before I ask further questions about the Dear Bunmi, I know you're a writer. While you were talking initially, you said journalism is not what it used to be back then.
At all.
Yes. So at what point did you think we got it all wrong?
When we started, you had to fish out the stories yourself. Yeah. You had to interview with your what do you call, reporter's pad and all. Yes. Now you have all these gadgets, yes. And most of you just sit in front of the television and write out news that everybody had already heard. And then even the big companies now, they don't look up to you, because then you go there, you interview, they know it's a proper face-to-face interview. Yes. But these days, everything you've done, before you interview anybody, before the thing comes out, it's already in the social media.
Social media, so, that's what I was saying. So can we say social media?
Everybody is a reporter now.
Yes.
And then
with your phone, you can do a lot. Any event that happens on the go, you post it on social media, and it trends like that. So can we say social media has really changed?
It has widened the scope, so there's nobody special in journalism really, except we have some fantastic columnists. We have some fantastic columnists and all that are very outstanding. Okay. And that's why all these media awards come up. Give awards to deserving people. I'm a member of the Diamond Award for Media Excellence. Okay. But apart from beauty, I don't know. And then you read what they write, and you are amazed that someone could just put this. There are, like I said, there are very outstanding ones, but there are extremely lazy ones. Extremely, but there you are. The papers go, and then unfortunately, the incentives are not no longer there. Most people don't read newspapers anymore.
Of course, yeah.
So the newspapers are not really selling as they used to do.
They read online.
Online, and then most people,
online
those who can't even read online, will go and sit with their vendors, maybe give the vendor 100 naira, and then they read through the papers, and then you go. So that's it.
Okay, now let's talk. You are a relationship counselor as well. Why did you choose this path of counseling?
I didn't really, because like I said, I was editor of Happy Home, and I had to fill the pages. That was how I started this problem page. No relationship counseling as such. It's a problem page. Then you will encourage readers to send in there. I thought it was to be like I said, something to fill the pages, but it grew. You'll be amazed at how many people have problems. They want they want
seeking
solutions. So then when Makonju, God rest his soul, what's his first name? He was editor of Lagos Weekend. I don't know even if you heard of Lagos Weekend from the Daily Times table. It was a weekend, Friday, every Friday it came out. And he was made the editor, and then he came. But at that time, I'd already left Punch. I was with Great Nigeria, and they wanted me to continue with Dear Bunmi. I said I wouldn't call it Dear Bunmi before, because Dear Bunmi was patented to Punch. Let's call it Dear Auntie Gina, because I'm Regina. We'll call it Dear Auntie Gina. Come and of course then no telephone, no texting and all that. Every week you get massive. I mean, and I'm supposed to pick maybe 5 or 6 out of
there are problems.
Problems, you know. And I feel sorry that number one, all these people made the effort to try, and then I couldn't. But then I would marry some problems that are more or less related, and you know, it was. I've had a good time with my profession. No regrets, nothing. Nothing.
And you're still into it partially, not fully anymore.
Not fully at 73.
Yes, all right.
Not fully.
I must say that you have really done a lot. Even at this point, if you feel like you want to like retire and leave the rest to with the younger ones, like just pick it up from here. I think it's worth it. And looking at you clocked 73 last week, and you're still looking. And you're still looking 20, like
I believe you.
Like the skin. No, I'm serious. I'm not trying to flatter you. No, I'm saying what I'm seeing. As in, your skin is still glowing. So I want you to share the secret.
It's not a secret. Well, number one, maybe it's gene. You know, my parents had lovely skin. Maybe a part of that. And secondly, I don't let anything. I don't like anything to bother me. I don't take anything seriously. And once you have a relationship, like all these people that tell you that maybe you have a relationship and this bagger will change, because he keeps on following you, it's because he's in love with you, and he slaps you a bit because he's in love with you. You are just number one, you are wasting your time. Number two, you are degrading yourself. Once you see that your relationship is not working, you pack your things and go. It will hurt you to go. You had already committed yourself to the relationship. It's like you can't just sever the cord. But it takes time. You'll get over it. Instead of you to kill, not that you'll be beaten to death, but you'll be humiliated. Your self-respect is gone. Relationships are meant to be enjoyed. Relationships are meant to be worked at if you see potentials, you're working at it. But if there's no potential and you're involved with a hooligan, pack your things and go. It's the same thing with the man. Because some men get humiliated by the people the partners they have relationships with. If it's not working, it will hurt. Nothing is easy. You give yourself a year, give yourself 2 years, then walk away and start another relationship that you'll eventually discover is now better than the one you left.
You know, when we look at the society right now, we see that we have so many people who are into relationships and like quitting, marriage, breaking, as a result of maybe abusive marriage, maybe marrying the wrong person, and thereby leading to the death of one partner. So it's really alarming, and it's kind of discouraging some singles, like, it seems this marriage thing is not for me. So I want to ask you, I know you are an elderly person, and I believe that the way it used to be in your own time, it's not the way it is right now. So what do you think is missing in this generation when it comes to marriage and relationship?
You know, technology, for instance, people read a lot of rubbish in the media, and then you get in touch with your friends, and then they advise you. And I don't know, like, people go into all this media thing, they go into reading about relationship, reading about sex, how to then this poor boy now will meet an experienced woman who wants sex all the time, and then there's no. So you want to. It's very difficult because most people are now enlightened, and then the most I won't say embarrassing. I found it funny that you look at later girl A now, she's involved with a man, and then the man just maybe walked away, and the next minute you get an invitation card, she's getting married. So for how long did she have? So obviously she had several relationships on the boil. What Yoruba say called hedging your bets. So if this one doesn't work, so what type of relationship do you expect to form from that marriage? That kind of, and there's nothing you can do. That's the way now they've brought themselves up to be. There's nothing you can do. And then today's average person knows more than their parents. They have all the answers. All you have to do now is just wish for the best for yourself and for your offspring.
All right, there's a lot to still talk about when it comes to relationship, marriage. But for now, let's take a time out. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. I've been talking with Mrs. Bunmi Sofola, aka Dear Bunmi. That's what I'll call her. All right, now you were talking about relationships. You know, I asked you that how can you compare the olden days generation marriage to this present generation? You talk about media as in technology.
And then I want to make another point.
Okay.
In the olden days, most wives were stay-at-home mothers. You get some of them, maybe teachers, fashion designers, but most of them stay home and do petty trading. So when they have relationships, problems with their relationship, they didn't have anywhere to go, because the parents had warned them already that you are living a large family. Don't expect to come back here because your room will not be available to you anymore. And even with that, and then they have children rapidly. With 2 or 3 children, where would you go with no proper? But now every average woman is educated.
Yes.
And then you see them earning even more than their husbands.
Of course.
So if you wants to flex your muscles, she will just pick up the lightest of her bags and walk away, and then start afresh, and then maybe she'll even do better than when she was with you. So these are the things men of today's man has to consider, because women now are high flyers, and if a woman wants to get married, it's not because she wants to run away from a crowded home, or wants to
or see it as an avenue to be free.
To be free and run away from the crowded so that he can have some freedom with a monster. You know, so now if anything goes wrong, she has a good salary. In fact, most 1 or 2 men now live in accommodation provided by the wife's company. I've seen girls ladies who would ask a policeman to please come and escort the husband from her own premises. She doesn't want the husband again, and the house belongs to. So what do? The husband will just the one man came and found his belongings in the rain.
Wow.
Well, the women were on the receiving end before.
Yeah.
You didn't do well.
because I hear people say right now that the reason why marriages of the olden days last longer than this present marriage is because the wives then, our mothers then, what they do is that they try to endure whatever
That's
thing
what I'm saying.
they
They didn't have
endure.
anywhere to go.
Yes,
They
they
would have
endure.
rather, they would have left, but they didn't have anywhere to go. So,
And if their husband probably mistakenly impregnate another woman, they accept the woman as the second wife. But in this generation now, we don't want one man, one wife.
In this generation, they don't mind being a second wife in a brand new house. You put her in a brand new house with all the perks.
But that's not a second, that's like a side chick.
Well, if she wants children, she would have maybe 2 or 3, and then they tell the man to just go and stay with your wife. I feel sorry for her. Let me be managed. And then some go into marriage because they want children. Once they've had 1 or 2, and that's it, they are no longer interested in the marriage. All these things have become so calculating, it's nauseating. All this love, and then these men too. Once they have a bit of money, then you pack out of my house. You don't even know the extent of the wealth of your wife. Maybe she has more money than you do, because most women now keep their finances secret. They don't discuss it with their husband. So you don't know how much your wife is worth. And once you pass her to pack out, you discover that she had packed out and moved into her brand new house, the one that she built herself. And then the master will start bad-mouthing her all over the place that she was a prostitute. She had started building the house. She didn't tell him. Well, what? That's the...
All right. This question has been on my mind for a while now, especially when the case of a popular Nigerian musician, that's Osinachi, the late Osinachi, happened. And the question is that this vow of for better, for worse, I really want to understand. You are a relationship counselor. I know you know better very well. For better, for worse, what does it really mean? That worse part, what does it really mean?
People have debated that bit over and over again. It's not in the Bible that it was in the...
It's just a marriage vow that
someone wrote.
Okay.
And then vows are made to be broken now because you made a vow, the divorce to have grounds on which you can walk out of your marriage, because the person that manufactured the pencil manufactured the eraser.
Of course.
So you can, if it's not working, she must know that God knows what these women, I don't know what got into them or what still gets into them, that a man will ill-treat you, will rubbish you, and then you sit there. For what? With
because
your
of the children.
You can look after the children yourself. Some women raise better children as single parents, better than those who were raised in the proper matrimonial setup. You have the know-how, whatever, tools to raise good children, because you were raised by good parents yourself, I assume. But what sort of upbringing will you give a child that doesn't see his or her father most of the time? And then whenever they see each other, they're always pointing, accusing fingers, or throwing things at each other. It's better to have a peaceful home where you bring a well-balanced child than create another monster like the one you are trying to condone. It's not worth it.
In as much as I don't really support domestic violence, in my own opinion, I would prefer that the wife should be separated and should leave the home. So my fear now is that the future of the children, their psyche. What I mean is that when a wife is being maltreated by the husband and decided that, okay, I want to be separated, I have a sustainable income that I can use to take care of my children, then I leave the home with my children, living alone. As the children keeps growing up, they ask after their father, probably say, okay, your father is somewhere else.
The father will still have contact with the children.
Yes.
Not that he will take them away.
But don't you think the settings is like changing, like father, mother, children? That's like family setting. Those children will kind of grow up and see like, oh, it's not compulsory for my mom and my dad to stay together.
What I always advocate is that even once you separate, we have a very well-knit family system, extended system. You can your children can react with your children from your relatives, your cousin, your uncle. They you know they have give them not only father figures but a good setting where parents can eat together with their children, go out together with their. You discover that even now it's only the mothers that will be taking the children to amusement parks and all that. So well, that's why most people don't. Most children don't really miss the father figure, because whatever they wanted, the mother provided, or the mother still provides, and then the extended family system too is there for support. Instead of sitting there and then this one will come back, what sort of rubbish do you have on that table? Who do you think is going to eat it? Then you will start shaking.
Shivering.
That is not marriage.
But now, are you now trying to say that fathers, that like the role of a father?
There are some fantastic fathers. Don't get me wrong. There are some good fathers. There are some fathers who are better at nurturing children than the wives at home.
Yes.
I've seen quite a lot of them. But some just don't, because I don't know where, maybe they didn't grow up in the setting where, but there was this guy who I tried to counsel him, and then she said that she told the man from the onset that she didn't like having children, that she didn't want any children.
Really?
So he said it was true that she told him that, but he said that after you've started having children, didn't you feel any love for them? He said, I don't know, but I warned you I didn't want anything. She said that to my face.
You mean the man?
The girl, the woman.
Wow.
So the man said, after you started having the children, didn't you feel any love for them? He said, no, I don't know. I thought I warned you before. So he was always going out, and the man was always looking after. And he had a good job. So what the heck?
I'm so surprised hearing
you'll be
this.
surprised. There are so many lunatics on this side, but you have to.
Okay. All right. So now let's. I know that a lot of people who are, because I had an encounter with someone who was abused, and she said that the husband abuses her on a daily basis.
Why did she stay?
On a daily basis.
Why did she stay?
No, so I now advise her, why can't you leave? She said she can't leave because even before she got married to that man, her parents warned her not to get married to him. And now she cannot go back to her parents' house again.
She would make her plans, find one room, pay 1 year.
And she does not even have a
steady job.
A steady job she's doing. So it's as if she's just hooked. Like there's nothing she can do at the moment.
But she should, I don't know, couldn't she talk to her relatives, to talk to her parents, that she's now suffering where she is, that they were right, she apologizes, like, can she come back home? You can't ask your child not to come home and ask her to be abused all of the time.
Yeah.
You must leave a window for that kind of thing. If she's not happy, then let her go, and then let her come home and then replan her life. Sadly, it might be a home where the parents, her parents now can't look after her, and the children she might be bringing in. Things like that. But you will always find a way, instead of condoning abuse. It's the worst form of degradation you can ever. Then you lose everything. No confidence. No, you just be like an appendage to your man. He can do whatever he wants with you.
Okay, now I want you to please talk to singles, because I've had conversation with quite a number of singles who are telling me like, oh, if this is what marriage is all about, count me out. I'm not ready for it. So how can we encourage our singles like, oh, marriage is not this or marriage is that?
No, they would know. They are not fools, and they are adults anyway in their own right.
A lot they're just scared. They're afraid of going into a wrong marriage.
Because maybe the parents too didn't have good marriages. If the parents had good marriages, they would want to have what their parents had, and that's enough. That enough is enough to scare anybody of marriage. But you can't predict what will happen with anything. Give yourself a fairly long period of courtship. Not that you meet a man 3 months later you are pregnant and you say, it won't work. So you have to know who you are really getting married to. And then even after marriage, you know to what extent you can take it. And then that's it. But whatever you do, make sure you are independent financially.
That's so important.
It's very, very important. So that you won't be kicked through left, right, and center, and you stay with a bad marriage because you don't have anywhere else to go. Like in those days, the mothers would ask you, where do you want me to go? By asking me to leave, where do you want me to go? And it's true, where would they go?
So now, for singles not to get into a bad marriage, and I feel that for everyone who is planning to get married,
and then you should try counseling. Talk to your friends who you think are happily married. Ask them how they do it. Then all this counseling, there are counselors here and there that can help.
And enough of social media
counseling, that kind of thing. And then you'll be wary of all these counselors too. They tell you one thing and believe in another, especially all these pastors that keep on asking you to stick to a bad marriage when they keep on violating their congregation, members of the congregation and all. So you have to be really careful and then pray. There's nothing, I've always believed in the efficacy of prayer. There's nothing that prayer can do.
Prayer cannot do. Okay, so that's like an assurance that marriage is not
it's better. It's
not an institution of war.
Do or die.
And it's an institution of war because those people are saying that marriage is scary, this and that. We have people who are
it works
doing
for some
well.
People, and okay, you are more concerned now about women. There are men too who find it difficult to find good wives.
It's on both sides.
So what advice would you have for them? Why are you more concerned for the women?
I'm more concerned about women because women we are always at the receiving end.
So women beat up their husbands.
But that's rare. It's rare. Like how many percent? It's rare. It's always women. Have you ever seen a case of a woman beating the husband to death? Or even a woman maltreating the man on a daily basis. It's rare, but
it's rare, but it's not that it doesn't happen. We've had, there was this case of a woman who stabbed her husband to death when he was sleeping. You remember the case? Some 3 years ago. So the caution has to be on both sides, but it's the women now that have more to lose than the men.
Yes.
But lose in the sense that whatever you do, get an education, get a good job. It's very important. That's a good bargaining chip that you have to hold on to. And then you get your husband's respect when he knows that you can always walk away without feeling the absence of a husband. So,
okay, very quickly before we go, can you give us some tips of having a healthy relationship?
We've given a lot of tips in the interview. We have
tips like
then
red flags you need to look out for, especially those in relationship, in courtship. So many people see a lot of red flags, but they overlook them.
But I don't know what red flag. You see red flags, like maybe he's now having affairs,
or maybe like someone telling you in a relationship, like I can like slapping you in relationship, or always yelling at you.
Those are the signs. Well, once you see all that signs, then you start making your own plans too, because there's no point hanging on to a hooligan for the rest of your life. What for? Your parents didn't treat you that way. Why should he? And then you like I said, counseling. You don't have to go to a professional counselor, but maybe he has a friend or a boss or whatever that he respects, and they have some sort of fear for. Then you ask him to intervene. And some men will even flare up that, why would you go and disgrace me? So you have, like I said, counseling. Then you see how other people are behaving, carrying on with their relationship. And if it's not working with you, then that means that one of you is doing something wrong, or that the love, like I said, so all these shotgun weddings. That you are pregnant, you have to get married. They don't last.
Yes, they don't last. You need to get pregnant before marriage.
They don't last. And once you see that he doesn't have any, or he said that, and 2 or 3 years later, someone else too has strapped him with another pregnancy, and so you have to look out for you. The signs are always there, except that we keep on ignoring them. The signs are always there, and once you get the signs, then you walk away. Your life is more important than the ego of any man.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you.
ma.
It's
Yes,
been a
life at 73.
Three.
So what's the next plan? What do you have? What do you intend to do
I want to retire. It's all up to God. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing now.
Okay.
So for as long as I still do that. But I'm okay.
All right, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're
It's
welcome.
been a wonderful time here, and I hope you enjoyed every bit of the conversation with Mrs. Bunmi Sofola. Yes, relationship counselor and also a veteran journalist. Okay, this is where we wrap up the interview segment. Take a short break, and we'll be back. Yes, we have come to the end of this episode of Amazing Amazon with our guest, Bunmi Sofola, who is a veteran journalist and a relationship expert, speaking to us on some of the fears of some singles, of some people about marriage, relationship, as she gave us tips, advices on what we can do to manage our relationship situation. All right, thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. I remain your host, Tosin Adeyemi.